Welcome to We've Got a Country to Save, brought to you by my friends at InvestYRefy.com. Invest in America like I do, and by Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat has true end-to-end encryption, no storages of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. That way you can speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Old Glory Bank, Patriot Mobile, and El Cholo. Be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast. Make sure to follow or subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are using, whether X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. Be sure to patronize our sponsors so we can keep bringing you these wonderful videos. And if you don't patronize our sponsors, well...
2, 3, 4. That's 2.
We know where you live. Bad news alert. Jim Acosta out at CNN.
You may have seen some reports about me and the show. And after giving all of this some careful consideration and weighing an alternative time slot CNN offered me, I've decided to move on.
Let's go down memory lane with Mr. Truth Acosta.
The Trump campaign and allegations of collusion with the Russians. Sarah Sanders tried to flip the script on a number of occasions and say, well, it was the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee. Now, I don't think this is any small thing, Brooke. When you have the White House, keep in mind the campaign is over, the election is over. When the White House is suggesting that there is collusion, that there was collusion going on between a defeated rival, a defeated political opponent, and a foreign government, as this White House is doing. It's one thing for one campaign to say it about another, but this is the White House saying that, and that is why I try to ask the question. It was a multi-part question. You know, why is it that the president felt to be involved in this Uranium One deal to try to have that gag order lifted on that key informant in the FBI investigation? No real answer there, although Kellyanne Conway, the White House counselor, spoke to that earlier this morning on CNN. And then also the president tweeted that the only collusion that existed in the election was between Hillary Clinton and the Russians. When I asked for evidence of that, there was no evidence presented. This White House has presented no evidence of that. The president has not presented any evidence of that. And so once again, you have sort of this inappropriate political behavior on the part of this White House that we saw going on during the course of that campaign with locker up and everything else. When you have a White House making those kinds of allegations about a defeated opponent, that is just something that's just not normal.
Were you lying then? Are you lying now? Or are you not, in fact, a chronic and habitual liar?
Jim Acosta.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wonder if you could comment on this disconnect that we seem to have in this country, where you are presenting information about what's happening at the border, calling it an invasion, talking about women with duct tape over their mouths and so on. And yet there's a lot of reporting out there. There's a lot of crime data out there. There's a lot of Department of Homeland Security data out there that shows border crossings at a near record low. That shows undocumented immigrants committing crime at lower levels. That shows undocumented criminals or undocumented immigrants committing crime at lower levels than native-born Americans. What do you say to
you don't really believe that stat? Do you really believe that?
What do you? Well,
Take a look at our federal prisons.
I believe in facts and statistics.
Okay,
and data.
any more quick? Let's go.
But let me just ask you this: what do you say to your critics who say that you are creating a national emergency, that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, okay? Because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN, you're fake news, you have an agenda. The numbers that you gave are wrong.
Thank you, Mr. President. I challenge you on one of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign. In the midterms.
Here we go.
If you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President, caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling me that.
And why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants in this election to try to keep...
I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. You know, they have to come in, Jim, through a process. I want it to be a process, and I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign...
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
But your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
Well, that's true.
But
they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. These were people. This was an actual, it happened a few days ago. And
they're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President,
that's enough.
I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President,
that's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have...
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian
investigation
because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead.
Hi, folks. You may be hearing a lot about Yrefy these days. Well, it's true. Investors all over the country are earning a high fixed rate of return, and they don't care what happens with the stock market or the Fed. And it's true, your interest is compounded daily, you're paid monthly, and there are absolutely no fees. And yes, it's true, there is no attack on your principal if you ever need your money back. When you invest with Yrefy like I do, you are in control. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose. You don't have to worry about doom and gloom economic news, and you can have peace of mind that you'll receive your statement every month with no surprises. Would you like some more information? Just call 877-80-INVEST. That's 877-80-INVEST, or log on to investyrefy.com. That's investyrefy.com. Yrefy, do well by doing good. Let me ask you a question. How many of you are concerned about the invasion of privacy that is currently going on by the Biden administration? Biden's DOJ is invading individuals' private messages and targeting them based on their political affiliation, and that's why I partnered with Freedom Chat, a private social messaging app that, like me, believes privacy is your fundamental human right. Freedom Chat has variable end-to-end encryption, built-in screenshot protection, no storage of messages on their servers, and no commercial use of user data. I'm such a fan of Freedom Chat, in fact, that I have created my own private channel that you can subscribe to for exclusive content, including never-seen images, videos, and posts. Simply download the app, or if you're on Android, join their waitlist. Search for my channel and subscribe. No one can see the channels that you are subscribed to or the posts that you react to. It's your own perfectly curated private news feed. Speak freely and message privately with Freedom Chat. Download the app today and subscribe to my channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. Actress and singer Selena Gomez, with her over 400 million followers, posted a video because a Chicago elementary school issued a statement that ICE was sent there to remove illegal alien students.
I just want to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
But wait! Turns out it wasn't ICE. It was Secret Service agents there due to a threat against the president.
Never mind.
Let's kick it.
Ice, ice, baby. All my people are getting attacked.
All right, stop. Collaborate and listen. Ice is back with my brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly. Flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, rock a mic like a vandal. Light up a stage and wax a chump like a candle. Dance, crush a speaker that booms. I'm killing your brain like a...
Trump has issued an executive order telling federal employees to get their butts back into the office, and you can't work at home. Years ago, I had a small business, and the mailman would bring our mail every afternoon around 2 o'clock for years. Then he retired, and a young man succeeded him and began bringing our mail around 10 o'clock in the morning, which was better because you could respond to important things more quickly. Then all of a sudden, the young guy began bringing the mail at 2 o'clock, like the other guy did. I asked him why. He said people at the post office said, "I'm working too fast." Donald Trump has asked all 2 million federal employees, with the exception of military, national security, and some others who work from home, to start coming in and working at the office. Those who don't can get a buyout. How inefficient and unproductive, you ask, are some federal employees? Well, listen to this former federal employee.
I used to be a federal employee, and I'm going to tell you why I don't feel bad for federal employees being forced to come back into the workplace. I worked for the Army Corps of Engineers for almost a year, and the abuses that I saw by government employees was astounding and shocking. I worked as a realty specialist, and that is someone who manages government-owned lands. So when farmers and ranchers lease land to graze cattle, we would manage that. When I was hired, my boss bragged that it was basically impossible to get fired from the federal government, and that in her entire time working for the government, she'd only seen one person fired, and that person assaulted a fellow employee, and she wasn't even fired for assaulting the employee at work. She was fired for lying about it because they caught it on camera. When I worked for the government, we were allowed to work 50% in the office and 50% from home, for the most part. In some cases, if you'd worked there, like I think over 10 years or something, you could actually work from home 3 days a week and work from the office 2 days a week. I use the word work very loosely. One employee spent his time remote working, running his own farm. Another employee bragged about drunk driving and going out to lunch with her friends for margaritas when she was supposed to be remote working. No one would log into their computers, and you can see it because they're not on Teams, and no one ever checked. Ever.
Mr. Maytag Repairman!
I'm coming!
Help! Oh, lonely!
Hold on!
Help! Help!
I'd go anywhere to fix a Maytag. Wow, what a dream. But I'm exhausted. I'd better go down to the shop and get some rest.
There's something called the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the work in government is done by 20% of the people, and this is very, very true. People who get a job in the government a lot of times find out that it's very difficult to fire them, and they take advantage of this. One employee would come into the office, his start time would be 6:30, and he knew nobody would be there, and when I came in at 7:30 and I was the next person to come in, he was snoring at his desk every single morning. Another employee would take the government truck on an almost daily basis so that he could go out to lunch and then go and take a nap in his favorite park under a shady tree in the government truck. One of the very first things I did when I started working for the Corps, I spent 3 months cleaning up their real estate files room, which was a disaster. The government is using an antiquated system that was developed sometime in the 90s and using regulations that haven't been updated since the 90s to manage our dams and our government lands.
Hello, Central Services. I'm at 579B, Block 19, Northwestern Section D. That's exit 1 on Green Pastures Highway at the Orange Blossom Flyover. And I've got trouble with my air conditioning. It's an emergency.
Thank you for calling Central Services. I'm sorry, due to temporary staff shortage, Central Services cannot take service calls centrally between 23
This is an emergency.
Thank you for calling Central Services. I'm sorry, Jules.
No, I've got to have a heating engineer.
Thank you for calling Central
Oh,
Services. Sorry, Jules.
Our government is filled with the most incompetent and most lazy people, and an occasional hard worker. And those hard workers are severely punished every time they outwork their colleagues, because then the colleagues realize people will see that they're lazy, and they don't want to have to work more. They're just buying time until they retire, in almost every case. My point is, some of our government organizations haven't been maintained or updated in so long that you basically need to create a new organization and start from scratch, because there's almost no way to transfer it over, and there's so much red tape in between it'll never get done.
And you say you didn't see the bags come out?
Can we read the claim checks again? I got 12 minutes to catch a train.
There's no cause for alarm, Mr.
What's the difference what my name is? We're just going to waste time discussing my name. Oh, that Kellerman, George Kellerman. All right, there's 10 seconds going discussing my name. Now, in 11 minutes, the most important train of my life is going to pull out of South Station. We're standing here talking about my name.
Well, let me say, first of all, Mr. Kellerman, that TIA certainly assumes all responsibility for
I don't want your responsibility. I just want my clean shirts. I got a business meeting at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yes, my husband has an important business meeting at 9 o'clock tomorrow.
I just said that, Gwen. What are you wasting time telling what I just said?
Well, we'd be glad to put you up in a hotel in Boston tonight, and you can make our 7 a.m. flight to New York in the morning.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Suppose New York's still fogged in.
Well, we can't guarantee the weather, of course.
You can't guarantee a large gray suitcase and a small brown one.
It's a large brown one and a small
Then what's
gray.
the difference what color they are if they're lost?
Well, I see no reason to assume it won't show up.
I saw no reason to assume I wouldn't be in New York tonight, and I'm in Boston looking for baggies that you assume isn't lost.
Is something wrong?
Yes, my husband has an ulcer and his medicine is in the assumed
Come
limit.
on. We'll be at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. I don't get my baggage by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, your lawyers are going to hear from my lawyers. You got my name right?
Yes, sir. Kellerman. Frank Kellerman.
George Kellerman. You see, first you waste my time because I try to get my name right, and then you get my name wrong. George. First they lose my baggage, then they're going to send it to some nut named Frank. You're going to hear from me if I don't hear from you.
Trump has issued a blizzard of executive orders, including one that says the 14th Amendment does not give automatic citizenship to a child born on American soil if that child's parents are illegal aliens. He promised to do this on the campaign trail.
Let me ask you about some of your other promises on this topic. You've promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through an executive action?
You know, we're the only country that has it. Do you know, if somebody sets a foot, just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need to, on our land, congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. Yes, we're going to end that because it's ridiculous.
Through executive action?
Well, if we can, through executive action. I was going to do it through executive action, but then we had to fix COVID first, to be honest with you. We have to end it.
The media and Democrats, of course, are hyperventilating. They say Trump is not a tyrant. He's not a king. He can't unilaterally pick up a pen and by executive order change the meaning of the 14th Amendment.
I don't do predictions legally, but I'm going to make a prediction here. This effort to end birthright citizenship by Donald Trump will fail in the courts. And there's two main reasons. Number one, Boris Sanchez correctly cited the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment says, Section 1, any person who is born or naturalized in the United States is a citizen. That's about as straightforward as it gets in the Constitution. On top of that, there is a Supreme Court decision. I thought it was old because it's from 1898, but Ken Cuccinelli's talking about it from 1860, so this one's newer. But there is a Supreme Court decision from 1898 that addresses this exact situation. A person born here of two non-citizen parents, and the Supreme Court said he's a citizen.
No, that more recent Supreme Court case that the lawyers cited does not address this issue on point. It had to do with a child who was born on American soil to parents who were in the country legally, if only temporarily. So I think his analysis is wrong, and that eventually the Supreme Court will rule in Donald Trump's favor. The 14th Amendment says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside, end of quote. Never mind, Michigan Senator Jacob Howard, who introduced the 14th Amendment in the Senate, said, quote, The amendment will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to the government of the United States, but will include every other class of person, end of quote. Now, where were all these "the president is not a king" people during the Obama and Biden presidency? At one time, Obama said he did not have the power to grant protective status to illegal aliens. Obama said in 2010, and I'm quoting, "I am president. I am not a king. I can't do these things by myself," end of quote.
I am not a dictator. I'm the president. So ultimately, if Mitch McConnell or John Boehner say, we need to go to catch a plane, I can't have Secret Service block the doorway, right? So I understand, and I know that this has been some of the conventional wisdom that's been floating around Washington, that somehow, even though most people agree that I'm being reasonable, that most people agree I'm presenting a fair deal, the fact that they don't take it means that I should somehow do a Jedi mind meld with these folks and convince them to do what's right. Well, they're elected. We have a constitutional system of government. The Speaker of the House and the Leader of the Senate and all those folks have responsibilities. What I can do is I can make the best possible case for why we need to do the right thing.
Then Obama did DACA to shield so-called dreamers from deportation, and then he expanded it even further. Clearly unlawful, but Obama did it anyway. Eventually, the Supreme Court will rule directly on these programs, and they will find them, in my opinion, unlawful. This brings us to Biden's student debt relief. At one time, then Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the president did not have that power.
People think that the President of the United States, is this more on the subject than you ever want to know? Will you let me know? People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress.
Then Biden did it anyway. The Supreme Court struck it down, and Biden introduced another plan that eventually will be struck down as well. And this brings us now to DEI. Obama signed executive orders for DEI in the federal government, but Biden expanded it even further. Why? Because he wanted to attack the systemic racism, as he put it, that supposedly still exists in America in 2021.
Every White House component and every agency will be involved in this work because advancing equity has to be everyone's job. Today, I'll be shortly signing an additional package of executive actions to continue this vital work. And I'll close with this. I ran for president because I believe we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. And the simple truth is, our soul will be troubled as long as systemic racism is allowed to persist. We can't eliminate it. It's not going to be overnight. We can't eliminate everything, but it's corrosive, it's destructive, and it's costly. It cost every American, not just who felt the sting of racial injustice. We are not just a nation of morally deprived because of systemic racism. We're also less prosperous. We're less successful. We're less secure. So we must change. And I know it's going to take time, but I know we can do it. And I firmly believe the nation is ready to change. But government has to change as well. We need to make equity and justice part of what we do every day. Today, tomorrow, and every day. Now, I'm going to sign these executive actions to continue the work to make real the promise of America for every American. Again, I'm not promising we can end it tomorrow, but I promise you we're going to continue to make progress to eliminate systemic racism, and every branch of the White House and the federal government is going to be part of that effort.
But, didn't the Supreme Court strike down the use of race as a criterion in admissions to colleges and universities?
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled race-based admissions at 2 colleges are unconstitutional. The opinion from the court's conservative majority is expected to dramatically change policies at colleges and universities across the country.
But it's perfectly okay for the federal government to use race in hiring and in every aspect of government, according to Biden? Are you insane?
What do you make of these new changes, getting rid of the DEI, focus on the mission plan, which is to defeat the enemy?
Lawrence, if the cliche is war is hell, I can't even tell you how devastating Joe Biden and Democrats have been to the DOD, knowingly gutting our ethos, who we are, making us try to think about whether or not we're the bad guy or the good guy. We talk about this transgender ban. This isn't a transgender ban. This is clearly stating that if you cannot deploy and fight, then we don't want you in the military, which is the equivalent of saying to our pilots, if you can't see, we don't want you behind the yoke of an F-16 Charlie. We don't want you on an F-22. Transgender soldiers right now, whether you're on hormones or you're non-deployable for 36 months after a transition surgery, well, who are you fighting for? What do you do? Are you there for you, or are you there for your country and your teammates? This is all about taking the selfishness out of serving your country and reminding people it's all about the community, it's all about the team, it's all about the country. And I'm ashamed that it took executive orders to remind the greatest military in the world who we are and what we do.
Today, there are more executive orders coming that we fully support on removing DEI inside the Pentagon. Our job is lethality and readiness and warfighting. We're going to hold people accountable.
When we go to the battlefield, none of these things about a kinder, gentler world. We all want peace. No one wants war, but we will be ready to wipe you off the face of the planet if you want to hurt our citizens or our allies and our friends. That's the entire subject matter. When I was in school, Lawrence, like you, what was the main line of the paragraph? This is what we do in the military. We will break you and we will force you to change your opinion. That's what this is all about. And we can't do it by making ourselves feel good about who we want to be. No more of this petri dish mentality. We are a warrior class.
So this is about reforming the system of hiring in the federal government to ensure that merit is the lodestar of hiring decisions
as per the Supreme Court.
Other matters. Yes, sir.
This is a big deal. Merit. Our country is going to be based on merit again. Can you believe it?
Mr. President, you would say. By the by, as far as fighting Obama's claim of systemic racism, consider all the federal and state laws that make it illegal to engage in discrimination. Labor lawyer Peter Kirsanow, who happens to be black, says this anti-systemic racism apparatus includes the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ, the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Education, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs, the FBI, state civil rights commissions, local human rights commissions, state attorneys general, and tens of thousands of investigators, enforcement and compliance officers, local prosecutors, and private attorneys who enforce civil rights and equal opportunity laws.
Damn!
These laws include, but are not limited to, Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, Sections 1981, 1982, and 1983 of the Civil Rights Acts of 1866 and 1871, the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment, the Fair Housing Act, the Voting Rights Act, and thousands of state and local equal opportunity and anti-discrimination laws. This doesn't even include the tens of thousands of human resource officers and diversity and inclusion personnel who guard against systemic and structural racism, end of quote.
Say that one more time.
Now, hypocrites in the media and hypocrites in the Democratic Party denounce Trump's quote-unquote dictatorial interpretation of the 14th Amendment on the issue of birthright citizenship. But they cheered Biden's blatantly illegal and unilateral measures to protect illegal aliens from deportation, to grant student debt relief, and to inject race into virtually every aspect of the federal government. Now, President Trump, in his first week, signed over 300 100 executive orders.
Donald Trump is back in the White House, and his first week has been anything but slow. He's moving at lightning speed, issuing executive orders left and right, officially recognizing only 2 genders, scrapping DEI policies in federal jobs, and tackling the immigration crisis head on. Now the question is, are people cheering him on, or are they losing their minds? Let's find out.
As far as the gender thing, I myself am a gay man, and I still agree with him. I think it's a lot of confusion when you start adding all the different levels and subcategories and things. I don't think it's a disrespect to anybody that sees themselves those ways, but as far as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds, kids, there is only 2 genders, and they shouldn't be introduced to that until they're old enough to comprehend what's really going on.
So like even with the law that he has where he's want to make it where like they're allowed to say like, well, if you're this race, I don't want to hire you, stuff like that. Well, that's good because you don't want to go anywhere where you're not welcome, you know what I mean, or where nobody wants you. So you go where somebody wants you at. Obviously, it's like, to me, it's like, it's common sense. It's, you do what you're supposed to do.
How do you feel about Trump challenging birthright citizenships?
Well, that's always been a cheat code, I guess you could say. It's always been a cheat code. Come over here, have a baby. For me, being African American is already hard. And then, like, they kind of jump over African American and just give it straight to the foreigners. So it's like, to me, Trump is doing the right thing.
He pulled up, he flexing with the EBT card.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm finna go feed some folks, man.
You got a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah, we finna go get some burgers, some
What's on the EBT menu today?
Right now, man, I'm finna go to Fat Burger, man. I'm finna go get me a big burger from Fat Burger.
Damn, they feeding you good.
My family is, they're also immigrants, and it just feels, like it just feels wrong being feared on. Every day, like, my family's just worried that, ICE will come, like, they'll be around.
Do you think the illegal immigrants are treated poorly here?
Honestly, yeah.
So why do they want to come here?
It's like a first world problem compared to their third world problems that are way scarier, like a lot harder to go through day-to-day life.
Immigrants commit less crime as a percent than American citizens. I mean, American citizens, American terrorists are more of a threat than immigrants.
Is entering the country while you're not a citizen illegally a crime?
Well, yeah, that is a crime, yeah. It's not, but it's a crime, certainly.
By definition, they commit more crimes, correct?
Well, by definition, right. Coming in, it's a crime. But it's like, it's not that big of a crime. It's not something that we need to send the military to the border.
So I guess Trump is the best choice that the United States have to avoid total collapse, because other options do not think about changing stuff. And Trump trying to change some stuff he's doing is going to help a little bit to prepare the United States for the collapse, the incoming collapse of the empire. And after that, maybe change itself to something new, like the Roman Empire becomes the Vatican. In the same way, I see Trump can prepare the United States to be something new.
At the end of the day, I feel like the 2-gender thing, that's pretty obvious. It's male and female.
On Halloween of 2017, I was hit by a car and was pronounced dead. When I started coming back to life, I said I will never use the word hate again. I will only use the word hate once. I hate Trump. I know a couple of people who are immigrants, who are actual friends of mine, and they're all afraid. And it's like, you should not live your life afraid. There are reports of already ICE or whatever up in the valley looking for people, and a lot of people are afraid they're gonna come down to Hollywood Boulevard specifically and just point and shoot. So yeah.
2 genders? Yes.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
I agree with that. It's messing up our children's head because now our children growing up thinking that they can be something that they're not. Promoting it the way they're promoting it is messing it up.
Do you want a teacher teaching your little child?
No. Hell no. I'm going to be up, listen to me. If my teacher try to teach my kids, I'm putting my foot so far it's going to turn to a popsicle.
That's all from Los Angeles, where some are celebrating and others are updating their passport. This is Willie Nelson, your man on the street.
Americans have had enough of supporting companies that hate our values. Tired of compromise? So am I. It's time to switch to Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They are an example of putting the cause ahead of profits, and that's why I'm proud to partner with them. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you access to all 3 major networks, which means you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to without funding the left. When you switch over to Patriot Mobile, you're sending a message that you support the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the sanctity of life, and our military vets and our first responder heroes. Their 100% U.S.-based customer service team makes it easy to switch, keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their team will help you find the best plan for your needs. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. That's patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. Get free activation when you use the offer code Larry. Join me and make that switch today. patriotmobile.com/Larry, patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. Located in the heart of Sugar House, Salt Lake City, Utah, family-owned El Cholo is a vibrant Mexican restaurant offering a unique dining experience across 2 stylish levels. With a beautiful bar, chic design, and stunning views of the Wasatch Mountains, it's the perfect spot for both casual meals and special occasions. El Cholo can host up to 250 people, making it an ideal venue for events like weddings, parties, or corporate gatherings. Whether you're enjoying authentic Mexican dishes or sipping cocktails like our signature margarita, the restaurant's warm ambiance and prime location attract a diverse crowd, including the University of Utah students who love the flavorful dishes and wonderful, lively atmosphere. El Cholo is a favorite gathering spot for locals and visitors alike. 2166 South 900th East, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84106, phone number 385-426-2166. Other locations in Los Angeles, Santa Monica, downtown LA, Anaheim Hills, Corona del Mar, and La Habra. elcholo.com, that's elcholo.com. And for the rest of February, at the Salt Lake City location only, but for all of February at all El Cholo locations, mention Larry Elder sent me and you get 10% off your check minus alcohol. Now, let's turn to the fires in Southern California. Does Governor Gavin Newsom bear any responsibility for the damage caused by the fires?
Governor Newsom, wildfires have destroyed millions of acres of the state, displaced countless amounts of family. Do you take responsibility for any of this, and is there anything more you think you could have done?
Not really. I think these fires were very devastating. I think the full scope of what actually has happened, we're not there yet. Okay, these people's houses are just destroyed. People are suffering. People are sad. But we're Californians. We're going to push through. We're going to push through. And where we're going, the vision is 10 times bigger than anybody else can even imagine.
Former President Trump has recently criticized your leadership, saying that you failed California. What's your response to him, and what does the future of California look like?
To be honest with you, I try to block that rhetoric, because the words that come out of his mouth, all the words out of his lips, they don't mean anything to me. He needs to use these more, because the future of California is bright. It's so bright. When you really try to look at it, I mean, really, really look at how bright it is, you're going to need shades to live in California 24 hours a day.
Critics are saying that you're all hand gestures and no action. What's your response to that?
I think people are wrong. Okay, they need to wake up. I speak with passion. I speak with fire, no pun intended. And I feel if I use my hands a lot, people won't be focused on the lies that are coming out of my mouth, because I lie a lot. So I want to distract them with my hands.
And speaking of Governor Newsom, he claimed he had nothing whatever to do with people being able to steal without consequences, even though George Gascon, the man he appointed to be DA of San Francisco, drafted Proposition 47 that allows you to steal up to $950, not just per day, but per store. If you get busted, you've committed a misdemeanor, they write you a ticket, you have 0 chances of going to jail. Why? Because we have cashless bail here in California. So steal away.
Says, sir, you dropped this. And he comes back, picks it up, and keeps walking out. As we're checking out, the woman says, oh, he's just walking out, he didn't pay for that. I said, well, why aren't you stopping him? She goes, oh, the governor. I swear to God, true story. On my mom's grave. The governor lowered the threshold. There's no accountability. I said, that's just not true. And I said, we have the 10th toughest, $950, the 10th toughest in America. She doesn't even know what I was talking about. By the way, it's the 10th toughest in America. Look it up. No one gives a damn about that. And I said, it's just not true. There's still stop. They said, well, we don't stop them because of the governor. And then she looks at me twice, and then she freaks out. She calls everyone over, wants to take photos. I'm like, no, I'm not taking a photo. We're having a conversation. Where's your manager? How are you blaming the governor? And it was, $380 later. And I was like, why am I spending $380? Everyone can walk the hell right out.
So Gavin Newsom had nothing whatever to do with people being able to steal at will? Tell that to California Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco.
Good morning.
Chad Bianco, Riverside County Sheriff. We are here today because California public safety is in crisis. Crime is steadily on the rise, and our public safety policy is one of the worst, if not the worst, in the nation. I want to make this clear, and I want there to be no mistake in what I am saying. This is not by accident. The driving force in our crisis is a radical, progressive agenda fraudulently called criminal justice reform. This is nothing short of a sick and twisted social experiment where law enforcement is the bad guy and criminals are somehow victims of society and not responsible for their actions, their crimes, or accountable to their countless victims. This agenda began with a passage of AB 109, the so-called Public Safety Realignment Act. State government failed to take responsibility for prison overcrowding or their failure to build more prisons, and instead forced county jails to house state inmates while simultaneously releasing thousands of felons early. This has pushed our county jails to a near collapse and caused the early release of countless criminals. Thousands upon thousands of criminals are being released from custody early, crime is increasing, and our governor is closing prisons instead of building new ones. It defies common sense. In 2014, a complete fraud was perpetrated in California. The so-called Safe Streets and Safe Schools Initiative, Prop 47, changed many felonies to misdemeanors, basically legalized drug use, and increased the amount of petty theft to nearly $1,000. In 2016, another lie was perpetrated on voters with the naming and wording of Prop 57, tricking voters into approving the release of thousands of violent criminals onto our streets and neighborhoods. This is why we are here. Everyone knows Prop 47 and 57 are disasters, and yet Governor Newsom adamantly touts it as a success, and lawmakers continue to refuse to fix their mistake and the problems that they have created. When once crimes are no longer crimes, it allows Governor Newsom and Attorney General Bonta to cite completely flawed data points to support their failures. Californians are now suffering the consequences of a failed social agenda. We are now at our breaking point, and Californians have had enough. The lie of Prop 47 has been exposed, and the progressive love affair with criminals at the expense of victims has infuriated law-abiding Californians. While we suffer every day with rampant theft causing our small businesses to close and our large box stores to move out of state, our supermajority of lawmakers sit here in their guarded tower, oblivious to what is going on in their communities, experiencing drastic increases in all crimes, particularly violent crimes. Over the past 5 years, law enforcement has been unable to get our progressive left majority to even consider any new law or modification to an existing law that would increase punishment or send criminals to prison. Reality has gone completely upside down to the point our governor, our lawmakers, and our attorney general refuse to prosecute criminals, to include those criminals committing crimes with guns, and instead have dedicated their efforts to disarm and remove constitutional protections of self-defense from law-abiding Californians. We are in a very important election year, and the political silliness is surfacing all around us. The same supermajority who refused any sort of tough-on-crime laws for the past several years are up for re-election. They are now claiming they are going to address our public safety crisis with new laws cracking down on crime. The problem is every one of their bills are disingenuous and hollow. For instance, one bill claims to address theft by lowering the felony limit back to $400. Upon examination of the bill, you will find that it gives these career criminals 3 more chances to steal and be convicted before they are sentenced to prison. That is a minimum of 3 more victims. We cannot turn on the news, read the newspaper, go to the grocery store, or open our businesses without being slapped in the face of reality that criminals have been emboldened by a lenient system that holds no consequence for criminal behavior. Instead of addressing the obvious, tone-deaf Governor Newsom attacks a Target employee for not stopping a criminal from fleeing the store instead of taking an honest look at the failed social experiment that he himself leads that allowed that theft to occur. It is time we wake up and hold our politicians accountable for what their bills, laws, and policies have caused. It is time to return to a common sense approach to crime, realizing and admitting that there are evil people who refuse to conform to a civilized society and instead choose to victimize the rest of us by stealing our property, robbing our stores, flooding our streets with drugs, including fentanyl, breaking into our homes, murdering our children, and giving the middle finger to our justice system. Californians deserve better.
California researchers are linking a voter-backed reduction in criminal penalties for drug and property crimes in 2014 to a jump in car burglaries, shoplifting, and other thefts. The Public Policy Institute of California reports that larcenies increased about 9% by 2016, or about 135 additional thefts per 100,000 residents. Thefts from motor vehicles accounted for about 3/4 of the increase. Violent crime in California has also gone up, but researchers say Proposition 47 is not the cause. Prop 47 lowered criminal sentences for drug possession, theft, shoplifting, ID theft, receiving stolen property, writing bad checks, and check forgery from felonies down to misdemeanors.
And before the 2024 election, this sheriff, who supported me when I ran for governor in the recall election, came out in favor of you-know-who.
Hello, California. It's Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. You know, for the past 30 years, I've been doing everything I could to keep our community safe by arresting criminals and putting them in jail and putting them in prison, keeping them out of our neighborhoods. For the last 5 years, I've been very critical about our governor for slashing our budgets from corrections, for letting prisoners out early, for closing our prisons. I've been critical of our state legislature for passing laws to make it harder to put people in prison. I've been critical for their changing laws that let prisoners out early. And I've been critical for our Attorney General for seemingly not caring about crime and really being an embarrassment to law enforcement. And this love affair that our governor and our state legislature have with criminals is based on the belief that criminals are not responsible for their own actions. They're a victim of society. And really, it's our fault. It's society's fault. It's business's fault. It's cops' fault. It might be my fault. Law enforcement, apparently, if you listen to our governor, is systemically racist. If you listen to our legislature, our laws are systemically racist. Our judicial system is systemically racist. All of these people that are being put in jail are because of law enforcement bias and DA bias and all of these things. And so they let them out. They give them food. They give them housing. They give them money. They give them drugs and alcohol now. And I got to be honest, I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. And I'm wondering if I'm having a change of heart and deciding that, you know what, maybe I've been wrong. And I think I'm going to change teams. I know it's going to make some of you angry. I know that you're going to be mad at me, but I'm going to change teams. I think they're onto something, but I don't think they're doing enough. I think that we need to go big. You know me, go big or go home. You're the biggest, you do the best, you're the best at everything, and you might as well do something right if you're going to do it. And I'm all in. And I hope that you're all with me. I hope that you all have this change of heart. You all feel that this is definitely the right thing to do, and you come alongside me in this venture. And I think it's time that instead of letting them out of jail and giving them alcohol and drugs and everything else, I think it's time we put a felon in the White House. Trump 2024, baby. Let's save this country and make America great again.
Trump, when he came out to Southern California to look at the fires, teed off on the leadership in California. Note, there hasn't been a Republican elected statewide in California in 20 years. Democrats have not just majorities, but supermajorities in the state assembly and the state senate. There hasn't been a Democratic mayor in LA since 2001, and all 15 members of the LA City Council are either Democrats or Democrat socialists.
FEMA's incompetently run, and it costs about 3 times more than it should cost.
I'm hoping
we can spend money on schools instead of giving money to bureaucracy. It takes you so much longer.
Mr. President,
it takes you so much longer
FEMA for helping our people.
FEMA has a standard, Brad, and I'm a builder. I was a very good builder. FEMA has a standard that's so slow They want permit on permit on permit, and then they want permits on top of that. If you use FEMA, you'll be here for a long time. What I'm saying is get the city, get the state to give you immediate 24-hour permits. These people are going to build their own homes. They're going to get them built fast. How many of the people, could I ask you one question? How many of the people, what are people going to do for financing? What are people going to do? How many people can build a home, percentage-wise, like where they don't have to go out and get funds? Some people are just not going to be able to rebuild their home because they have a beautiful home, but they don't have cash, right? So what are people looking to do in that case? You're going to have a big percentage, I would assume, Brad, like that. What are they going to do? Go ahead.
Mr. President, without your help, they're only going to get $43,000 from the federal government, even if they have a half $1 million.
You did something, loss. Brad, where every insurance company in the country left California. That's why you have no insurance, because you made it so impossible. People that think like you made it so impossible. And
Brad, me,
every
Mr.
insurance
President,
company.
I don't know what
I'll tell you this,
about my thinking.
I've never seen a state where almost nobody has insurance. And I said, what happened? And they said like 6 months ago they all left, and 2 years ago they had different quadrants, but they left. And you have very little insurance here. I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
We had a lot of insurance companies pull out, but I have no idea.
And the insurance companies actually have been warning you. Now, I'm not a big fan of insurance companies, okay? They have their big drawbacks too, but the insurance company, I read the papers very well, and they've been warning California for a long time. They've also been saying, we want water. You don't have water. You're supposed to get fire insurance. And the insurance company goes, you don't have any water in your fire hydrants. So it's a tough situation. I'm not a big fan of insurance companies. I get that.
They're pulling out of Florida
Brad,
as
you
well.
lost your insurance company 6 months ago because the state wouldn't give them what they had to have.
Can you say there's a new sheriff in town? Now, the only thing more improbable than Trump winning the presidency in 2016 was his comeback in 2024. First, the predictions about 2016.
He's not going to be president. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Take it to the bank.
Okay.
I guarantee it.
All right.
I think if he becomes the president, he'll make it great because the States is already great.
I think that man will be president of the United States right about the time that spaceships come down filled with dinosaurs and red capes.
On that note, Tom,
Take it from me. How about that?
Cheers, Tom.
And then, of course, there's Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Donald Trump, just last week, he confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
So when you stand and deliver that State of the Union address, in no part of your mind or brain can you imagine Donald Trump standing up one day and delivering a State of the Union address?
Well, I can imagine it in a Saturday night skit. I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
He will never be president of the United States.
And we better be ready for the fact that he might be leading the Republican ticket.
Next. I know you don't believe that, but I want to go on.
Sorry to laugh.
Okay, here we are. And which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones, right now, Donald Trump.
And so, right now, Mr. Trump, to answer your call for political honesty, I just want to say, you're not going to be president, all right? It's been fun. It's been great. I love you. But come on, buddy. All, let's say, cow poo-poo aside, there is zero chance we'll be seeing you being sworn in on the Capitol steps with your hand on a giant golden Bible.
I'll make a prediction, though, for you, and I don't really get into predictions much, but this one I'll go way out on a limb. Donald Trump will never, ever be president of the United States. That Trump should not be in this race. He's an absurdity. He is a travesty.
Donald Trump will never be elected president of the United States.
Donald Trump is a here today, gone tomorrow candidate for president of the United States. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Ever respectful of the fact that the people have not voted, he's not going to be president of the United States.
Let's be clear. Donald Trump will lose the election.
I mean, he had a really good chance to be different and really have a chance to change things, but he doesn't do the work. He's lazy.
We talk about him every day, and we continuously bash him.
He's not going to be the president. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
And we're coming to a point where if you're Hillary Clinton, you're honestly probably starting to think about not just whether you will win, but how big your win will be. And then you say that Donald Trump has the best day in the entire world, completely outperforms expectations, and he wins all of the toss-up states. He wins all 5 of those states, plus that electoral college vote in Maine that he's after. If he wins all of the toss-ups, which would be insane because nobody wins all of the toss-up states, even if Donald Trump did win all of the toss-up states, he would still lose.
To be a wake-up call to the Republican Party. Despite Boris thinking that Donald Trump could win New York, like this, the presidential race is over.
Could I just cut through? I have one thing to say, one thing only, and that is that this race is over. Tomorrow morning, the money will dry up. The Republicans will start to hide. Trump has no place to go. This race, effectively, as of tonight, is no longer a presidential race. I mean, everything I know about presidential politics, and I've been through 5 of them, I've never seen one like this. This race is over. You might as well accept it. And the question now is, how do you minimize damage? And the only way you can do that, it seems to me, is to try to grab hold of some old conservative value things and do what Mondale did in '84, which was try to save a few people down ballot. But as far as Donald Trump's concerned, it will never, ever, ever happen.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
That was the first time. Then, when Biden won in 2020, the media and Democrats were already writing Trump's obituary.
But now the Trump presidency is coming to an end. To an end. With so many squandered opportunities and ruined potential, but also an era of just plain meanness. It must be said, to paraphrase President Ford, for tens of millions of our fellow Americans, their long national nightmare is over.
From what you've seen about how the Trump administration's functioning in your book research, how do you rate his chances?
Well, I've primarily seen that the Trump administration doesn't function, certainly doesn't function very well, so I'd rate his chances as low, if not nil. I think it's a really uphill battle for Trump. Here's a person who was really not interested in campaigning, doesn't understand the nature of campaigns, doesn't really have anybody to run his campaign. And on top of that, his numbers have not appreciably increased since he got into office. So I would, if I were a betting man, I'd say bet against that.
Based on my 13 keys to the White House, which has correctly predicted the outcomes of presidential elections in America since 1984, the result is that America is going to have a new and path-breaking president. That is, Kamala Harris will become the first woman president of the United States.
Listen, I have a couple of things to think about for tomorrow, everybody. Number one, Trump's going to lose. He's going to lose badly. He's going to be wrecked. I don't know what the electoral college count's going to be at the end of this, but it's going to get loud and it's going to get hard for him.
I've been preparing for my electoral vote prediction that will be happening tomorrow on the David Pakman Show, and I want to talk through it with you because I don't see any way that Donald Trump can win the election tomorrow. And I don't know if I am just an idiot, which many of my viewers would agree with, or if I'm missing something. But barring all of the information we have being completely wrong, I don't see a path for Donald Trump to win.
To quote the great Jackie Gleason,
how sweet it is.
Why isn't your bank asking what's in your heart? When big banks cancel your account because they don't like your politics, or they share your transaction data with the government, it's no wonder they don't ask what's in your heart. That's not what they care about. Old Glory Bank is different. We're the pro-America online bank that protects your privacy, security, and liberty. Started by Dr. Ben Carson, Larry Elder, and John Rich, we proudly serve customers in all 50 states. Open your account in minutes at oldglorybank.com. We stand with you.
Now, this gentleman has an interesting take on why so many women despise macho Donald J. Trump.
Let me tell the American people something so we get this. Men are not loved. Men have to put their foot in folks. Men have to lay down the law. Men have to lay down the truth. Donald Trump is a man. The fact that all these women hating him shows that he's doing exactly what men do. I'm despising my own mother house. Because if I let the women do what they want to do, it'll be a show. Men. Barack Obama didn't love America. Barack Obama treated America the way women want him to treat America. Bill Clinton treated America the way women. Donald Trump is treating America the way a man would treat America. I don't give a about your feelings. White people only make up 7% of the world. Stop killing your babies. We gonna die off. That's what Donald Trump says. Hey, Mexico, take your criminals back. Canada, you need to be a part of the USA. It costs us a lot of money to protect you, son of a... Russia, calm the down. Y'all know we'll bomb on y'all mother. China and North, y'all chill the out too. Man! Barack Obama was giving Iran billions of dollars. Man, men always gonna be hated. Men ain't loved or missed until we gone. That's when you look up one day and everything is in shambles. And you say, God, what's going on around here? Granddaddy dead. Granddaddy gone. And grandma done let everything turn to shambles.
Dink, say goodbye to Felix. Man talk.
Finally!
My heart goes out to you.
Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe.
This never gets old.
Like the fellow once said, ain't that a kick in the head?
And then there's this.
Good, I'm done.
Should I just run and jump up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. Oh, he did? Crazy guys being here with a drill. Now look around.
Oh my goodness.
Don't trip on the kayak.
told you don't trip on that.
I did not say that. Camera recording. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh.
Yikes!
Yeah, hello?
This is an officer with ICE doing a routine check.
Well, I'm an American citizen.
Well, we have questions that'll determine that answer.
Okay.
How many points are scored in a football game?
6.
We want to make America
Great again.
Who's the best female artist?
Taylor Swift.
All right, last question. Can you say Walmart? Sir, can you say...
Yes, I know. Walmart.
Hope you enjoyed We've Got a Country to Save, brought to you by my friends at InvestYRefy.com. Invest in America like I do. And by Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat has true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. That way, you can speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Old Glory Bank, Patriot Mobile, and El Cholo. Be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast, and make sure to follow or subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are using, whether X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. Be sure to patronize our sponsors so we can keep bringing you awesome videos. And remember, we've got a country to save.
Let's get the money. We got to do it right. Trump is in office, so it's a new life. Hey. No more Sleepy Joe. He had to go. Bye. Trump's back in office, so it's a new road. Hey. Everybody got to figure out the new show. Learn how it goes. Put on some new clothes. Hey. I got some snot. Hold on, wipe my nose. I just been flowing outside and it's cold. My boy got a suit. He asked me to spit the truth. I'm only telling you everything I'm trying to do. Hey. Win, get it in, got to grind for my friends and my sister and my daughter and my other kin. I don't know, I'm just going in. This guy's with me too, now he's my friend. Hey. And shout out to the cameraman. This is just the beginning.